Right now, while most people are distracted by fear, short-term price swings, and non-stop market noise, something extremely important is quietly happening behind the scenes with XRP. And if you already hold XRP in your portfolio, then you seriously need to pay attention to what the data is showing right now, because this may end up being one of the biggest setup phases before a major XRP breakout we have seen in years. The most interesting part is that this is not based on hype, emotions, or random opinions from social media. This is coming directly from on-chain data, wallet activity, institutional behavior, and historical market patterns that have appeared before previous major crypto runs. Welcome back to XRP Gold Silver Scope, where we break down XRP, crypto markets, institutional moves, and the future of digital finance in simple and easy English, so everyone can understand exactly what is happening behind the scenes. Now let's talk about the biggest signal flashing right now. XRP whales are accumulating heavily again. Large wallet holders are quietly increasing their positions, while the majority of retail investors are still confused and uncertain about where the market goes next. Historically, this kind of behavior has appeared before major market expansions. Smart money usually moves first, while the public remains distracted by temporary fear and volatility. According to blockchain analytics data, XRP Ledger has now reached an all-time high in the number of wallets holding at least 10,000 XRP. That number has climbed to more than 332,000 wallets, and the trend has been steadily growing since mid-2024. This is extremely important because large holders usually think long-term. They are not focused on tiny daily price movements. They position themselves early before momentum returns to the market. And this is happening while XRP still trades below its previous all-time highs. That tells us something very important. Instead of chasing hype after a pump, many investors are accumulating during fear and uncertainty. This is exactly how smart capital operates in every financial market. They buy when emotions are low, not when excitement reaches peak levels. Now think about this logically for a second. People with large amounts of capital usually do not stay wealthy by constantly making terrible decisions. Of course, nobody is right 100% of the time, but over the long run, successful investors survive because they understand timing, patience, and long-term positioning better than most retail traders. And right now, many of those larger XRP holders are doing one thing only. They are holding and accumulating more. That should immediately get your attention. At the same time, the market recently went through heavy volatility. Many weak hands panicked during the broader crypto correction earlier this year. Bitcoin experienced sharp downside pressure, and XRP also dropped aggressively during the sell-off. Some large wallets exited positions during that period, but something very important happened afterward. The wallet growth recovered and actually pushed to new all-time highs again. That means stronger hands stepped in and absorbed the fear-driven selling. This is one of the clearest signs of accumulation behavior. The emotional investors sold during panic, while patient investors used the opportunity to increase positions at lower prices. This cycle repeats itself constantly across all financial markets. Fear transfers assets from impatient people to patient people. And right now, XRP appears to be going through that exact process again. Another reason why many analysts are becoming increasingly bullish is because XRP continues showing strong technical structure despite months of consolidation. Markets cannot stay compressed forever. Eventually, price breaks out of these long ranges one way or another. Historically, long consolidation periods often create explosive moves afterward because pressure continues building under the surface. And here is what stands out right now. Many technical analysts who normally disagree with each other are suddenly starting to point towards similar bullish possibilities for XRP. That does not guarantee immediate upside tomorrow morning, but when multiple experienced analysts independently begin reaching similar conclusions, it becomes something worth paying attention to. Some analysts believe XRP could experience a major short squeeze that pushes price rapidly higher once momentum returns to the market. Others believe the next phase of the crypto cycle could trigger a full altcoin season, where XRP becomes one of the strongest performers due to its utility, liquidity, and institutional positioning. Regardless of the exact timeline, the important point is that the current market environment resembles conditions that historically appeared before major expansions. Now let's move into one of the most overlooked parts of the entire XRP story, and honestly, this may be where things become truly massive over the next several years. Real-world asset tokenization. Most people still have absolutely no idea how important this sector may become. We are talking about the tokenization of financial assets, payment systems, settlement infrastructure, and cross-border transactions moving on to blockchain technology. And when you actually look at the numbers, XRP Ledger is quietly dominating this area far more than most people realize. Among thousands upon thousands of crypto projects across the market, XRP Ledger currently ranks among the top blockchain networks globally for tokenized assets on-chain. Billions of dollars in tokenized value are already operating inside the XRP ecosystem. This is not speculation anymore, this is real activity happening right now, and there are very clear reasons why institutions may prefer XRP Ledger for these use cases. Transaction costs are incredibly low, settlement speeds are extremely fast, energy consumption is minimal, and perhaps most importantly, the XRP Ledger has now been operating for well over a decade. That kind of history matters enormously to institutions handling large amounts of money. Newer blockchains may promise incredible technology, but institutions care deeply about stability, security, reliability, and long-term performance under real market conditions. XRP Ledger has already survived multiple crypto cycles, lawsuits, market crashes, and years of pressure while continuing to operate smoothly. That track record cannot simply be created overnight. This is why many XRP supporters believe the market still massively underestimates XRP's long-term potential. Because while the public focuses mainly on short-term price action, institutions may be looking at infrastructure, utility, compliance clarity, transaction efficiency, and scalability for future financial systems. And the legal clarity around XRP also changed the game significantly. After years of uncertainty, XRP gained a major advantage when the court ruled that XRP itself is not a security. That removed a massive cloud hanging over the project for years and allowed many institutions to look at XRP differently moving forward. When you combine legal clarity, institutional utility, strong infrastructure, low transaction costs, growing wallet accumulation, and expanding tokenization activity, you begin to understand why many long-term holders remain extremely confident despite short-term volatility. Because zooming out, the bigger picture continues strengthening. Now, here is where the story becomes even more interesting for XRP holders. While the majority of retail investors are still debating whether crypto itself even has a future, major money flows are already quietly positioning themselves inside blockchain infrastructure that could power the next generation of finance. And when you really study the numbers carefully, XRP keeps appearing near the center of that conversation again and again. One of the biggest developments happening right now is the explosion of real-world asset tokenization flows, moving across blockchain networks. We are talking about billions of dollars flowing into systems designed to handle tokenized assets, payments, settlements, and financial transfers. And according to recent market data, XRP Ledger has been outperforming many major blockchains in terms of real-world asset growth. Over the past month alone, XRP Ledger reportedly attracted more than $1 billion in real-world asset inflows, outperforming several major blockchain competitors combined. That is an extremely important signal, because money usually follows utility. Large institutions do not move billions of dollars simply for entertainment. They move capital toward systems they believe can handle future demand efficiently and securely. At the same time, some of the biggest blockchain networks have actually experienced significant outflows during the same period. That creates a very interesting shift in the overall market landscape. While certain projects struggle with slowing momentum, XRP Ledger continues attracting increasing attention because of its speed, low transaction fees, scalability, and long operational history. And this is the part many people still fail to understand. Every transaction happening on the XRP Ledger increases the usefulness of the ecosystem itself. Utility creates demand. Demand creates value over time. That does not mean price only moves upward in a straight line, because markets never work like that. There will always be volatility, corrections, fear, and uncertainty along the journey. But when long-term adoption trends continue strengthening underneath the surface, eventually the market starts recognizing that value. This is why many XRP investors remain patient even during frustrating market conditions. They are not only watching price candles every hour, they are watching infrastructure growth, institutional adoption, tokenization expansion, payment integration, liquidity development, and long-term financial trends that could reshape global finance over the next decade. Now let's be realistic for a moment. Nobody can promise exact timelines. Nobody knows if XRP explodes next week, next month, or sometime next year. Crypto markets move unpredictably in the short term, but historically, the biggest opportunities usually appear during periods where the market feels boring, uncertain, and emotionally exhausting. That is typically when strong positions are built quietly before momentum returns. And honestly, this entire setup feels very similar. We are seeing whale accumulation rise. We are seeing wallet growth hit record levels. We are seeing real-world asset activity expanding. We are seeing growing institutional interest in blockchain infrastructure. We are seeing legal clarity improve. We are seeing analysts increasingly align around the possibility of major upside once the market breaks out of consolidation. All these puzzle pieces together create a very interesting picture. Another important point people often forget is that global crypto adoption is still incredibly early. Step outside the crypto community for a moment and ask regular people if they own digital assets. Most still have no exposure at all. Many people remain skeptical, confused, or completely disconnected from blockchain technology entirely. That is exactly why some investors believe the biggest opportunities still exist today. Because once everybody fully agrees something is valuable, the massive upside has usually already happened. The early stages are always uncomfortable. The early stages are filled with doubt, criticism, uncertainty, and volatility. But that is where major wealth creation historically happens across every disruptive technology cycle. Think about companies like Amazon during its early years. At the time, many people doubted the entire business model. Most could not imagine how large it would eventually become. But investors who understood the long-term vision early experienced life-changing returns over time. Today it feels obvious looking backward, but during the early stages, it absolutely did not feel obvious to most people. Many XRP supporters believe blockchain adoption today may be entering a similar phase. And when you really think about it, XRP has already survived challenges that would have destroyed many other crypto projects completely. It survived lawsuits, regulatory attacks, brutal market crashes, exchange delistings, fear campaigns, and years of uncertainty. Yet despite all of that pressure, XRP remained one of the largest cryptocurrencies in the world and continued expanding its ecosystem globally. That resilience matters. Strong projects survive difficult periods. Weak projects disappear during them. Now, does this mean XRP automatically becomes the biggest winner in crypto history? Of course not. No investment is guaranteed. Every market carries risk. But from a long-term perspective, Many investors believe XRP currently offers one of the strongest risk-to-reward opportunities in the digital asset market, based on utility, adoption potential, institutional positioning, and global payment infrastructure. And if a true altcoin season finally begins over the coming months, XRP could potentially become one of the biggest stories in the market very quickly, especially because XRP historically moves aggressively once momentum and liquidity fully return. That is why so many long-term holders continue paying attention closely despite temporary market weakness. They believe the foundation being built today could eventually support much larger price discovery phases in the future. At the end of the day, every investor must make their own decisions. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. XRP is no longer just another random cryptocurrency fighting for attention. It has positioned itself as a serious player in the future of blockchain-based finance, payments, and tokenized assets. And if the current trends continue growing the way they are right now, the next few years could become extremely important for XRP holders. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe to XRP Gold Silver Dark Scope for more XRP analysis, crypto market updates, whale activity tracking, and institutional adoption news explained in simple and easy English. Also, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe XRP is preparing for a massive breakout? Or do you think the market still needs more time before the next major move begins? Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions.